Okay.
There we go.
Woohoo! Okay, Coach Andrea Tornes here, and I am going to show you ladies how to get the most bang for your buck if you have 15 or 20 minutes to give to a workout. So I'm actually going to bring out the equipment that you would need, and I'm going to take you through a full body so that you're not wasting your time. Because I do see a lot of times at the gym or even in my bar classes that I take. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of, kind of my workout schedule, what is in some ways a waste of time, what is going to be the most bang for your buck when you come to strength training. But I will notice in bar that I think the ladies only come to those classes, and I'm like, ooh, that would be really sad if they're doing this to gain muscle in their legs or their butt or their arms or their chest, because it is something called endurance. And so when you have like a really light weight and you pulse or you do kind of like those stretchy band things, in the beginning, they can create some tear down of the muscle, but really mainly what they do is they bring lactic acid into the muscle. So that's why it's that burning sensation. So it doesn't mean that you're actually tearing the muscle. Basically, your body's just recruiting lactic acid because of the repetition. And so the way that we really want to strength train is to make sure you're moving. You want to think about stretching the muscle and then pulling it back all the way through. So even for ab work, like in Pilates, we'll do a lot of like pulse, pulse, pulse. And that's great. Like after you do your full range of motion, you've stretched the muscle, bring it back because you want to stretch it enough to kind of tear it and then come back through. But if you just stay in one plane, it's basically going to be strong in that plane, but it doesn't mean you're actually pulling through the muscle fibers. So it'll burn because of the lactic acid. So you're like, oh, that was hard. I burned it. But it's like, that's not exactly what you want. So I'm going to show you guys how to move through like quad muscles so that we're stretching them, the glutes all the way through and back up. Um, and I want to talk about what that's going to look like for people who have knee issues. So that what, I've been through that before where you can't do a whole lot. And I've trained people who have issues with their knee. So then coming all the way down through a muscle is going to be tough if you're going forward on the knee. So when you're truly doing a squat, so I'm going to bring my chair out. So this is one of my favorite ways to train people is chair squats. So you're going to need a chair, and then I'm going to also pull out my 8-pound dumbbells. Can you go heavier? Yes, you can go heavier, but you want to kind of weigh it down. And so when I talk about stretching through the muscle and standing back up, see how I'm going down, I stretch through and up. And it's really not bothering my knees because I always say, like, think about public restroom. So when you are going back, like you're gonna hover over that toilet, right? You're not gonna go forward onto the knee. And if you are, a lot of times, so we're gonna do 10 of these, I'm just gonna keep going. A lot of times, why that ends up happening is because of ankle mobility. So I would test people's ankle mobility when they first came into our gym and basically see, like, do they have a stagnant ankle joint? Because if you do, it's going to be really hard for it to let you go back behind the knee. But like this is not hurting my knee at all. Two more. So we're gonna keep working. So I would warm up with some chair squats, okay? You don't even need weight, but like eventually you do. So it's called periodization. Periodization is so first 2 weeks, right? We're using our body weight. We're coming down and your body is not used to it. And so it is stretching the muscle and then building it back up. And so it will later it builds up when you rest. And so we do this for a couple of weeks. But what happens is every time you stop, it grows back stronger. So then eventually your body says, oh, I know what you're doing. I got you. I'm stronger. So then you've got to add some more weight. And so this is where you use some, now this is 8 and 8, 16 pounds, and I'm doing 10 reps here. Same thing, same form, all of that. So I've just added some weight. I can't lift myself. Oopsies. Yeah, so so yeah, Shelly, that's also a problem, right? So
Mhm.
and then you're like, I can't, you might have to even, I've got these nice little things. I want my stability ball. So I'm going to show you guys another way to do that. So what I would do, so if you guys have those big balls, okay, the big gigantic ones, you can put it, so I have this little tiny ball, which also works, and I'm going to put my feet hip width apart. So these are all squats, and these are just different ways to do it, but now I've got a good squat. So, and you really want to try not to stay up here. You want to try to get 90 degrees, okay? So when I'm coming down, I've got the ball in my back, it's rolling me back, and I don't want to stop here. I want to kind of come to that 90 degrees. So again, not a lot of pressure on the knee because I've stepped out enough, and I'm just basically rolling this down my back. So that is great, and you can do that with a small ball, or you can do it with a large stability ball too. And what's good about that is you can do a wall sit. So let's say we do 10 of these. You're like, okay, why am I starting with legs too? Well, because you want to get your heart rate up at the same time when you're doing your strength training. And the best way to do that is to train a large muscle group. Our biggest muscle group is our legs. So I'm going to go 2 more. And so as trainers, we're taught you need to work the largest muscle groups first. 1 more, and then let's hold it down. So now I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna hold it. 10, 9, 8, and I'm pushing my, back against the wall. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You might go this way, or you might be able to stand back up and come through. So those are 2 different ways to, get into a squat and be able to do that. So another good way, if you're like, okay, I'm beyond that, I can do more than that, is you would hold it here. Switch way here. There we go. And then go down in, they call this a goblet squat. So our femurs are connected right here, right? And so everybody has a different femur length. And that's where I've noticed different people, based on their ankle mobility, how their femurs insert, are gonna have to go wider or more narrow. So, and one thing I find is really safe for the knee is to point the toes out. So I've got toes pointed out, and my femurs are feeling good, and so now I can sink my way down. And they call this a goblet squat because it's like you're holding a goblet. And these will always be effective. Like, I can do these now, even being able to squat 300 pounds on my back. That's my claim to fame. And it will still work my legs. So this I can feel. And the reason why is the depth of the squat and where the weight's placed. So I'm getting good core movement. 2 more. And 1 more. There we go. So I love squats. So I don't love to do them, but I love how versatile they are. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys another one that really builds your glutes. So we're going to get rid of our pillows and that pillow. I've turned into a pillow weirdo. Okay, and so I'm going to show you without the weight and with the weight. So we're going to use, so again, I see all these like pulsy moves and stuff. It's like, you don't need that. Like now, we're going to come up and squeeze. So again, we're moving through the hinge, and then I'm coming all the way up. And inhale, push through the heels. 4 more. This is great to build those glutes, but not only that, it protects the low back from injury too, because we're learning how to squeeze and use our glutes versus our low back, which is where our body tends to want to shift things. 1 more. Okay, so let's say you're like, okay, I got used to those. We are going to take one leg out and then just use one leg. This is all before we're gonna start, adding weight. So now, 5 more. So I'm at 10, just to keep it easy. 2 and 1. Now I'm gonna switch legs to this one. Now it's down, push. My abs are working, my glutes are working, my quad is working, so lots happening. And I would say this is much better than doing like a donkey kick or a leg push-up. Like this is much better. 2 more. 1 more. And I'm already kind of starting to sweat. Okay, so now we have just did 2 exercises for our glutes, our legs. I'm going to show you another one, but typically you wouldn't want to pound your legs like that. So you're going to start with a squat, and then you're going to do something for the back. So let's say we're at the beginning. We did our squats on the wall. We did our goblet squats. The next move we're going to do, and this is called supersetting, is our rows. So we're going to go up and squeeze. So from here, you pull your belly button in, and now I'm working my back, which is again another large muscle group. And so almost all of us have phones, we sit at computers, and so if I had to pick what we would work on, if you want toned arms, strong legs, I would say go for back workouts, because that's the side that's weak, and go for legs. 1 more. So 10 good ones. So if you're like, okay, I've moved on, this double row is too easy, what you can do is take it slower. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's all before you're adding more weight. 1, 2, 3. So that just gets harder because you're having to stabilize the muscle more. So you start doing it in counts of 4, counts of 3, things like that. So you start to slow down the rep ranges, okay? So then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work our legs again. So that's when you would do your bridges, right? So then we would go through those like we did, and then we're gonna do another upper body work. Instead of taking a break, we're gonna work our upper body. So we're gonna do like raises here. So why I like these is because it works on your shoulder, and it also works on your forearms, your bicep, your tricep, and your core, just by standing here. And so now I'm working the upper body. I just did my lower, but I'm getting this done in a short amount of time, because while my legs are resting, my arms are working. 1 more. Whew, and that felt really good. So then I'm gonna go back to another leg move. So you could just repeat your squat, repeat your rows, repeat your leg lift, right, that we did, and then repeat your shoulder. So then you get 2 sets of each. For 10, you could even do it for 3. Let's say you wanna change it up. We're gonna do a reverse lunge. So again, you don't need weight, but if you have it, I'm a big fan of reverse lunges. So think about, instead of train tracks, like skinny, you want to give yourself 1 foot here, 1 foot here. So that way you have good stability, and then you can go down.
Yeah.
And the reason I like it is because it's not as hard on the knee when you step backwards versus front. Then a lot of weight comes onto that knee. It usually causes an issue. So you could step together, step together. So from the side, stretch through together, stretch through together. So we're stretching that muscle, right? And so that's important always. So you want to lengthen, shorten together. Woo! So now we're moving through the whole thing. And then as you get stronger, we go 2 more, and then I'm going to switch legs. So this one's a little more time consuming because it's right leg, left leg, right? So now it's good. So another thing that a trainer, taught me a long time ago was, try not to go back and go here and down because it's going to put a lot of pressure on that front knee. But instead, go back, tilt your pelvis forward, straight down and up. So then you're actually working the right muscles. So it takes time and thought. Like he could make you die with 1 lunge versus, you see people in classes and they'll just do 50 lunges, and you're like, how in the heck you do that? Because they're overcompensating with the wrong muscle. They're not thinking like it's the glute, it's the quad, it's the lower abs. So you want to be mindful and focus. 2 more. So I'm talking to myself. 1 more. When you're doing this so that you are doing it correctly, so you're hitting the right place, right? At the right time. Okay, so now we're gonna go, so we did shoulders, we did back, and now we're going to come back and do bicep. And so I love hammer curls. Reason being is like you can go against the wall a little bit, push your arms back, and then again, you want to make sure you have good form on this. So either you want to take your elbows, keep going backwards, and keep them cemented at your side, like so. So that way you're not overcompensating with the shoulder. You're really focused on the bicep, and it's about opening up. And again, if you are not feeling this or this gets too easy, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, down. 1, 2, 3, 4, down. Or you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you start to play with how fast and slow. So these are all ways to periodize your workouts so your body doesn't acclimate without having to add a heavy weight, without having to do 30, without having endurance. And see how I'm stretching through? Stretch. So here it's pull, and now it's stretch. Open up that pit of my elbow, and then do all the way up, okay? And then the next one, so we're gonna do 2 arm moves here. I'm gonna take these guys, or either you could take them here, go behind the head, and then almost like you're pinching your head, like you're gonna pop it. And now I'm getting my tricep. And 7. Can I even count? 8. Good. So this one again, what would we do? We go 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4, and down. 2, 3, 4, and keep that form. Really focus on the back of the arm. 1 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4. Bring it down. Okay, so then we have the weights at our side, and we're gonna step, lunge together, or you're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep your tailbone tucked under, your abs are tight, 8, 9, 10. Step together. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now it's arms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down. 1, 2, 4, and down. So this doesn't take long. 2, 4. So that's legs. Number 1. Feeling those bicep curls. And down. And 1, 2, 3. And down. And one more. And then I'm going to go singles. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Again, 1. Really slow. 2 more like that, and then we'll do our singles. So you can kind of gauge how you're feeling. If you're like, no, I have to do just singles, you're okay. 2, 3, 4, and up, and now 5 singles. So 1, and 2, and 3. Oh yeah, now I'm feeling these singles. 4, and 5. Done. Like that's it. That's all we're talking about. So those are going to be effective, so much more effective than if you're in a class and you're doing this with your arms and then you're doing this with like 2-pound weights, or if you're got a band and you're pulse, pulse, pulse. I see all this stuff and I'm like, man, if that's all they're doing, that is not going to equate to actually building up muscle, especially after the first 6 weeks, because your body will come to the challenge. It will get used to it. So you always, always, always want to stretch through the muscle. So it's the short, the long, okay? And then if you want to burn it out at the end or whatnot, you can. But if you don't even have a lot of time, don't do that. Don't do that. So it's the same for abs too. People ask me, like, Andrea, what do you do for abs? And I would say the best thing I do for abs is weightlifting in general, like just RDLs, that kind of thing. So that's also another one you can do at home. You can do, one-legged RDLs where you're working the backside of your body. So you could do 10 one-legged. So just keep it simple. Pick a leg move, pick an upper body move, and just go between those a couple of sets. So we're talking squats, RDLs, reverse lunges, or hip thrust where we're on the chair. Those are your 4 moves. Upper body, we're talking rows, right? Lateral raises, and we're talking curls, hammer curls, and tricep. And that is going to be a good, solid program. I notice there's something in the chat here. I really struggle is my leg. Yeah, and so that is so important too, Shelly, is building that up because, yeah, like think about, breaking a hip or something along those lines. If that happens and you don't have the strength, it's going to be that much harder to recover. And so even if you're starting with 5, like you sit down, you stand back up, or you use the sides of the chair and use it less, to get up, or you kind of go down as far as you can and back up, or those lunges. So reverse lunges are great for that. And even think about the hip thrust. So you're just on the ground. All of those is maybe where you need to spend time for a while. And then the next thing I'm going to say is, don't spend all your time doing this every day. It's not something you do daily. It's something you do 24 to 48 hours apart, because if you are not giving your muscle time to recuperate and repair itself, it's not going to grow back stronger. And so if you're always breaking it down, it's basically just going to get weaker. So instead of that, you have to give it protein. So let's talk about what to eat pre and post workout. So you want to have glycogen, so a carb source, and some protein post workout. You could even have like a little bit of chicken and a little bit of fat. So like a chicken thigh, like 2 ounces before you work out would be great. Just something, because that fat is basically going to hold it in the muscle. So as you're breaking it down, it's going to feed it, which is also good. And then within a half hour to an hour after you work out, that's when a great protein shake comes in. And make sure that there's some kind of berries like raspberries, blueberries. You put a little bit of honey in there. You want to sweeten it a little bit, and then about 20 to 30 grams of protein. So you could do that through egg whites, and you don't have to cook them. Like, you can put it right in your shake. You can do it through almond milk and a plant protein. You can do it through a whey protein. You can also do it egg whites and a whey protein. I kind of do a mixture. I do like little bit of oat milk, and then I do a cup of egg whites, and then I do some collagen chocolate protein powder, and then I do a scoop of whey, and ice, and then some raspberries. So then or a half a banana. And then that's great because now I have the sugar, the glycogen to go out to start to feed and restore my muscles. Because you don't want to like break them down and burn them. You just want to microfiber tear them and then they grow back stronger. So yeah, that's very important to, incorporate. So it needs to be like a ritual, like you have these workouts you do that I just showed you on, Tuesdays and Thursdays at such and such time, and you have enough time to feed yourself before and after and really celebrate that you did it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. I didn't want this to be too much. So literally it's 12:30 and we have 3 solid workouts that you could do. You could also, if you're like, you know what, I want to incorporate all of it together, this is what it would look like. It would be the squats to warm up, and then the rows, and we do then the squats again, and then the rows, the squats, and then the rows. That would be like 3 sets each. And then the next thing we would do is we would work on now the hip thrust on each leg, so single leg or double leg. And then we would stand up and we would do the lateral raises. Then we do the hip thrusts, lateral raises for 10, hip thrust, lateral raises for 10. And then to finish, we would do our reverse lunges, 10 on each leg. And then we would do our hammer curls, and then we would do our tricep, and then we do our reverse lunges, hammer curls, tricep, reverse lunges, hammer curl, tricep. And you're done. So that's going to take a minute. That would probably take 30 to 35 minutes, but think about all that work you're doing. You literally don't have to change that for a long time. You could do body weight for the lower body for quite some time, and then eventually move up to add weight to it, or you could start working with the timing. So there's just so much to do. And, if you're like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing all that, then you just basically take one of the leg moves and put it with the upper body. Do that, do 3 sets each of that, 2 sets each, and you're well on your way. That is going to give you more bang for your buck than not doing anything at all. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you ladies. Any questions at all?
No, that's been very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. And like literally in my office, I have a mat, I have a ball, I have obviously my chair, I have 8 pound, 5 pound, and 3 pound dumbbells. Downstairs, we have a pretty good like workout room, but I don't even ever use that very often. So like we have barbells and we have kettlebells, and I've had my time with all that. But I'll go to the gym and I do, chest presses, things like that. So there's a lot of like gym stuff, like lat pull downs I like to do. Um, and so, but honestly, it doesn't have to be that fancy, and you really just want to focus on those kind of more compound lifts, like, legs. And then when you do your back, you're using your arms and your big muscles in your back, and then just being ultra consistent. So it's just like with anything else, you just try to do this and make a date with yourself, 2 times a week consistently. And the amount of change you will see in your body in 6 months to a year is going to be profound. So, it's the kind of giving up or thinking it's not doing it, just trust that process. And if you even just have 15 minutes, I'm telling you, it will like change your body. So, it is one of the tools that I would say is probably the most important, because what it does to your hormones is I think Tiffany talked about this last week, but it helps with insulin resistance, which is what a lot of us ladies have going on. So anything to assist with that is wonderful. And it doesn't happen when you're 20 years old, okay? It's more as you age, all of these stress factors and toxins and things your body's been through start to just kind of break down, and insulin sensitivity is one of them. So strength training can help. Another thing it does is it de-stresses your hormones and body. So like your cortisol actually goes down 24 hours after you strength train. They have study after study about that, versus if you're doing HIIT workouts or pulsing and lots of kind of cardio ass stuff, your cortisol tends to do the opposite. So having that muscle is going to, and doing that work actually brings down the stress level. And that's another thing we just don't do well with as we get older. We don't have the estrogen. Things are kind of wacky. And so stress is a thing. And so strength training helps with that. What else? It also kind of like wears you out, like you sleep better after you do it. And for me, like I have L4, L5 is herniated. So if I don't strength train, or even if I do yoga, I think everybody's a little different. My back will get so tight. And I actually at this point crave a weight workout where I'm like, I just need, I don't know, like I've got to do some squats. I've got, once I get that under my belt, I feel 900 times better. So it just helps your body kind of get rejuvenated. It brings like fluid into your joints. And then just overall having more muscle versus declining muscle, which happens if we don't intervene and eat the protein, and make more muscle, we're going to decline. And that is just an absolute fact. And so what happens then, it's like if you're saving up for retirement and you keep like declining that, and you don't get to a point where you could live off some of the savings or whatnot, that's not good. And that's what muscle does. So basically, as we get older, it's like putting money into our bank account. So even if you're like, I don't want big muscles and all that, those big muscles you're going to love when you get to be 60, 70, 80, and you're still able to move around and recover and feel good, versus the opposite. So there's just so many benefits and reasons to do it. And so I also want you guys to know Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m. Central Time, it might even be 8:30. We have a group that meets and they just do their own workout, but they just put it on Zoom. So if anyone wants the link to that, just put it below and I'll send it to you if you're part of our Tone for Life group. Because then at least you have company, right? You can say, okay, I'm allotting this time on Mondays and Wednesdays to do something. Even if I sit there and watch people work out, I'm committed. And I think that is half the battle for me. I won't feel like it. I feel too tired. I don't want to. And then I just go to the gym the whole time. I'm dreading it. I swear to you, many times, because we go at night a lot of times. And I'm like, this is the last thing I want to do. But then when I walk out of there, I'm like, all right, I'm so glad I did that. every time, every single time. So I think the biggest battle is just getting yourself to the workout and just promising you'll do something. So even if that day you rate yourself and you say, you know what, I was a 3 out of 10, you'll still be happier and your body will be happier that you did it versus I didn't show up at all. Now it's been a number of weeks and now it's even harder for me to show up. So whether you're tired, it just doesn't matter. Like in Taekwondo, they used to teach us that like nobody, your opponent does not care if you're tired. And I remember I would just let that cycle through my head when I was sparring people. I was just like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm out of breath. I want to die, and then I'd just change it and like, they don't care if I'm tired. They don't care if I'm tired. So I still have to show up and try to get a point in and, do it. And then eventually my cardio got better. So that's what's cool about our bodies too, is it gets easier as you do it. All right, that's my presentation, my soapbox for today. So thanks for tuning in. I'm just going to stop our recording for any further questions or chats and things.